Okay, so we both watched
Tyler and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah,
and,
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Now, this is a movie that was really, really well done, and it was very, very funny. But there was a certain pattern that emerges, and I'm not saying this makes it bad. This probably makes it good, where you can't imagine this happening again. But they're misunderstood again. It's sort of a structure of a lot of comedies where people go out and they want to present themselves as something, but they're misunderstood. And that misunderstanding carries on, and it becomes incredibly funny because you're waiting for that conflict to happen. It's fantastic. They did it over and over again, where Tyler and Dale are, and everything is flipped. Everyone expects them to be the bad guys, but they're the good guys. No one understands that they're trying to help, and when they help people, they appear to be a danger to the to the college kids, and so it becomes hysterical, and it is very, very funny. And at the end, of course, Tyler, wins the day, and I'm not going to give it away, but
Yeah, if you haven't seen a movie that's 13 years old, we're not going to give you the ending here. But here, it's funny because at Warner Brothers, we thought of something similar. I'm sure it's come up in a lot of creative conversations, but we thought the only thing left of like the slasher genre, the slasher blueprint, is something from the slasher's point of view where it's like a mistake. And like, why is this lady running away from me and screaming? Wait, no. Come back, and we didn't know how to map it out, but we thought that was the only thing left because there's been hundreds of these movies, and I would say 90% of them are below average. And this one was interesting because it was sort of something of that take of like a misunderstanding, and
the fugitive is a misunderstanding,
Yes,
he didn't do it,
Yeah.
And he's trying to explain that. And in the middle of the movie, he goes, I didn't do it. And, Tommy Lee Jones says, I don't care. There's those great moments around that. And then, but it's really more of a comedic structure, isn't it? And that, and that would be that is a good idea. Where the person is, well, that's sort of what they did. Recognize so many of them. Tyler Lapine. I mean, this just to give you an understanding how far I go. He was in Road to Avonlea that I directed with him, and I'm talking about so many years ago that no one would believe it. It's like a long time ago. Da Vinci's Inquest as well. I mean, he was like, I saw him as like a Jack Black, a sort of a funnier or handsome Jack Black. And I really dug him. We had laughs together. We enjoyed it. I knew he was a real actor and he really cared about what he was doing. And I knew he would continue on and be in more and more things, which he is.
So you're watching this as a director yourself. And what are you thinking with this thing? I thought it was pretty funny.
I thought it was really funny. And I thought it was really well done. I thought it was really well directed. And I know there's whoever Ali Craig is, he did a tremendous job. Like he did a great job he actually worked on the camera too. So he really knew what he was doing. And, he really he knew how to do the gags with the camera. And it was a really well-made movie.
Sure, it happens with all of us, right? And that's what's so funny about this movie is these guys are a little rough, although they're almost like charming in their simplicity. And they walk around and they can't get out of their own way, which is most of us. That's Steve Surgic on any Tuesday. We just can't get out of our own way sometimes. And they're like, well, he's walking over to talk to him with the scythe, and like he's totally.
I was just gonna say that was classic. But that gave you an idea. That was the DNA for the rest of the film. It gives you an idea of what's going to happen from then on. And he's talking, and he's really nice, but he's holding that scythe, that gigantic blade up over him innocently. But the picture is wrong for them. They look at it, and their anticipation is someone who's very evil, and they're right,
And what's interesting is we were talking about this early this morning with breakfast with my daughter. Very, very intellectual person who was talking about this very movie and said the bad guy's name's Chad. And why is there a movement to turn the name Chad into Karen? If you know what I mean. Like why? And I'm like, that's interesting too, because I've known a few Chads and they've all been real nice people. It's bizarre, but there is this movement to make Chad the douchey character and name him Chad. Like I even saw some people like encapsulate this movie and say that Chad is the name this guy had to be. And I'm like, what's with this? And how do you stop this freight train, girl? If you're a Chad of this world, how do you stop this freight train coming down the tracks at you would be in this guy? You know what I mean? Again, perception actually takes over reality. Now you're starting to look at these guys in a different way. Anyway, so I think the stunt where the guy dives into the wood chipper is one of those Hall of Fame kills.
Well, there's like 3 in a row there. The guy jumps, ends on a stake, and he slowly slides down. There's the wood chipper. There's the some guy that gets into the saw. I mean, it's quite funny. The 3 of them try to commit. They're right. It looks like they committed suicide, and that is interesting because it's almost like without them, they talk like they try to explain to the sheriff when he comes in that these guys tried to commit. They don't even understand how they ended up dead. And they make up the story that they look like they tried to commit suicide. But you know how reflexive that is? It's really interesting because, they did it so well that it could have been a situation where they couldn't I'm not going to explain this very well. As a filmmaker, when you try to do that, it has to look convincing enough that you go, oh, they actually ran at him, missed him, and hit that stake and died.
Yeah.
So once you do that, you can't really say, it's difficult to say they tried to commit suicide, but it makes sense in terms of their story because they're trying to find an excuse for why they did that. I'm going to drop it. It was very well crafted. It was written with sort of intentional ambiguity in those moments, and it was in that way great. I should have just left it at that. I just hadn't had the opportunity to boil it down.
Your road to redemption is paved with tombstones. No quarter, kill all masters. Go to noquarterkillallmasters.com. Rated R.